Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Lydia with Raindrop Lila, and today I want to share with you guys this new journal that I made. In this journal, I used a lot of verses about Jesus as the shepherd, but also Jesus as the Lamb of God. And I used a lot of my printables that are inspired kind of about Jesus and the cross and the Lamb. And I also have some encouraging Bible verses in here. And I will actually mention the printables that I used, and I will also link them below if you want to use anything like that. I like to make a lot of printables that have verses also because I like to use them in my journals. So I guess we can just go ahead and get started. So this journal was actually inspired by this lamb that I made, and actually the inspiration was this. This was like a garland for your Christmas tree, and I found this at I want to say Michael's, like right after the Christmas season. So it was like $35 for it, and when I saw it, I thought, gosh, this would be really great for making like a little lamb or something. So I picked it up. It was on sale, so I didn't pay $35 for it. But isn't this just pretty? I just fell in love with the wool. I thought I love that natural look. Now you can just buy some yarn to use if you want to make something similar, but I just wanted to show that to you guys. And so I started with the lamb, and I'll show you guys how it looks. I wanted to make it as a closure to kind of attach to your journal. And so here it is. I covered the back with just some fabric. And here's what it looks like. Oh, let's see. And I used some twigs for the feet. And then I added the twine for the closure. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and get started with the journal. The journal comes with a few pieces, including this. We'll open this a little bit later. I made a little scrappy pad so that this could be used for journal writing. There's some coffee bits on there still. Okay, so this could be used for journal writing, scripture writing. I love the variety of colors, and I love the neutrals. I think it's so pretty. So that will be in there. And then I have this little, it's like a little bag. And I decorated the outside just with some scrapbook paper, some book page. And then this is just one of my labels I added on there. And then I used the image of the lamb. And then inside, again, there's just some bits and pieces. Let's see, I can't remember what I put in actually because I'm pretty forgetful, and I also made this a few weeks ago. Okay, so this is I think this is for journaling. It's what I usually do. Okay, so a bit of scrapbook paper, and then this is just perfect for journaling, right? And so I love adding pieces like this to my journal for adding journaling space. This could be tucked in a journal once you use it, or it could just be kept in the bag just like it was. And then I have, this is one of my my lamb and sheep cabinet cards. And there's plenty of room on the back for journaling, and then some more coffee dyed paper. Okay. Another thing I like to do when I have pieces like this, I like to keep anything that I want to add to my journal in here. So let's say I have photos or verses or bits of paper. I can just add them to this little bag and either tuck them inside the journal or tie them to the cover, you know. Okay, so there's that. And here's the journal, what it looks like. Okay, and we can go ahead and get started. Okay, so there's a tuck spot right here on the cover, and gosh, I can't remember what these guys are called, but I'm gonna have to remember to add these in. I love using those in my journals, and I made a little tuck spot, and then I have this little tag with the verse. And then the back, I just glued some ledger, some vintage ledger on there. I did some, some stenciling on some packaging paper. And then I just glued that little bit right there. This is some printed, one of my printed digitals. And so is that. And then I have just some book page right there. So I did a little bit of collaging. I have this image. This photo is from my, Shabby Chic Spring Cabinet cards. I think that's what it is. Or maybe this is my sepia cards. I'm going to link them below. I'm not sure. And so what I did was I layered, you can see the burlap behind it, and then the lace. I did some stitching on there. I added the bow in the corner, which is made from that, from this yarn that I made the sheep with. And let's see. Come on. I just wanted to give you guys an up close look. And so I have a little bowl pin there with a little, a faux pearl on there. I added a bit of corrugated cardboard, and I have some, like some threads underneath, and it adds such nice texture. And then I have the sentiment or the label, Salvation Story right there. And so in here I have a pocket, and then have that tag, and then I have a couple of these labels again. These labels are my sentiments and words of faith printable. Okay, so this journal will have a couple of these hidden pages. So all I did was I glued the top and the bottom and then the side, and I left this side open so it opens up for some hidden, like a hidden pocket where you can tuck things in. Okay, so here I have a pocket, and then I have these pieces there. Okay, I'm going to turn them so you can kind of see the verses better. And then this one too. I love this one. Oops, I don't know if you can see that. I'll show you guys in just a second. Okay, here we go. Okay, so here I have this, it's like a ledger type of book page, and I folded it over a little bit, and then I glued this piece of fabric. I love the look of this with, I just love the texture of it, and then the embroidery on top. And so this forms my pocket, right? It's kind of a loose pocket, but I have this little, like a mini journal, and again, more space for journaling. And then this tucks in here. Then on the other side, I have another pocket. And then I have this tag. Okay, so here I have this is like a vintage receipt or a check receipt, something like that. But I glued down this image of the lamb, and it just becomes a tuck spot for this little, it's like a little card. And so this could be used for writing like a verse or a prayer, and then it tucks in there. Okay, so here I have a few more pieces. This is actually from my Shabby Chic spring cabinet cards. This photo right here. And I love the road. I feel like it's so symbolic. Okay, it's off. There we go. And then I have a dictionary page, and I like the word at the top that says preview. I feel like it works so well right here. And then if you look underneath, I have a tag that says the blessing of the Lord makes rich, and he adds no sorrow to it. I love that Proverbs. I love that verse. Okay, and then it tucks in here. I have a tab right here with some velvet. This is some vintage velvet, and I love that color. I think it works so well. Okay, and then this is a printable. I think this is from my Angel collection, but I love the way it looks, but there's also room for journaling. And of course, here there's room for journaling. I did some stitching on there, just some little detail. Okay, so this right here opens up, and there's a pocket here. This pretty lace is from my friend Mary, not Martha, and I will link her below. Okay, she has an Etsy shop, and she sells a lot of really pretty laces and trims and appliques. Okay, so here I have this vintage, it's like vintage paper, and I just added this title. I'm not sure where this one is from. Oh, you know what? It's the same one. I had to think about it for a second because I cut the ends off. See? So it looks a little bit different. But this is my printable with the sentiments and words of faith, right? Okay, so here I have a pocket, and I love this image because when I see it, I think of like when you're praying or kind of like thinking like about the word. That's what it reminds me of. So I like to add that, to my prayer journals. Okay, and then there's a verse, a little tag with a verse. And then I have just this like a journaling card. There's room on the back for journaling. Okay. And then there's another tuck spot, hidden tuck spot right there. This right here, I love this image with Jesus and the disciples. But it's a little bit, I made it wide because I love seeing all the details. So what I did was I just folded it over so it became a pocket, but then you can open it so you can see the full image, right? And then on the other side, I added this fabric and this image, this illustration of Jesus with the lamb. And I love that. I think it's so pretty. And in here, I have some things tucked away. I have a tag, and I can't remember this collection, but it's a really pretty neutral collection that I've been using in this journal, and I will link it below. I don't know why I just can't think of it right now. Okay. And then I have, again, more verses. And then I have a flashcard with 8 plus 4 because that makes 12. And this is Jesus with the 12 disciples. I just thought that would be cool. Okay, I have this pretty doily on there, and then this vintage paper. This is like from a paper pad, and I love the yellow, and I love the way it curls up right there. Isn't that pretty? Okay, and then I have this image of the church. I'm trying to think. I have like this image, and then there's another image right here. I want to say these are from my Americana collection with some vintage photos. I'm not positive, but I know at least one of them is from that, if not both, but I will link them below. Okay. Okay, so here I made a pocket from this, it's like twine ribbon, right? And then I added this verse right on top. And then I have this. Isn't that cool? I love this. This is actually a flashcard from if you want to learn Greek. And I think this is like This might be part of a kit for learning Greek for like from the Bible, right? And I actually have one of the sets because my when we were in theology school, my husband bought the set for us. Anyway, so I have one that I'm not using in my journals, but I came across these at a thrift store and I thought, oh my gosh, that's pretty cool. Isn't that cool? Anyways, okay, so let's move on. I have this really pretty embossed paper and it's like a gold, kind of like a gold, a light gold, and it's metallic. So I thought that was so pretty. This could be used in the journal somewhere. So I just tucked it in here. And then I have another tag with the verse, Psalms 23, 1 through 3, with the Lord is my shepherd. Okay. And then I have this lamb here again. I love this so much. I used it in here and I also used it in here. And I layered this again with some of that burlap style ribbon. And then I have some vintage style, or just some vintage tulle underneath, like netting or something. I added a dried flower on there and I just glued down a little bow right there. And I made this ruffle and originally I was going to cross stitch some, I was going to stitch some hearts, but instead I decided to go with the cross. And isn't that cool? I just love that. And then right here, right on the side, I have a little heart. I think this was a earring, if I'm correct. And I just folded the little metal part down. I used like the jewelry, I don't know, pliers or something. And then I put it through the fabric and I kind of glued it on there. Okay. More journaling space. I made a little collage here. This was a master board that I made. And I decided to use a bit of it for a pocket right here. And then some more journaling cards. And then this opens up for more writing space. And then isn't this pretty? I just love it. And this has the prayer, Our Father, which art in heaven. And it just has like such pretty font. So I love that. And then here's the other side of the doily. And then here I have a little pocket with the lamb. Again, this is one of my cabinet cards with the lamb and the sheep. So if you like to use like the images of the lamb, of like lamb and sheep, I like to use them for my journals, like where I use verses about Jesus as the Lamb of God. I love to use those in here. And I also love to use them for like a cottagecore style journal. I think it works really well, or like a farm type of journal. So I love these, that printable. And so then I have this verse, worthy is the Lamb who was slain, from Revelation 5:12. And then the attributes of God are right there. There's room on the back. I love this list. I think it's really great. It's so good to meditate on who God is and just kind of go through this. It's also great to pick one and then go look for verses that basically show how God is faithful, or where he's all-knowing or all-powerful. So anyways, this is a great way to study who God is. I think that's really important in a Christian's life. And then I have this Psalms 103, bless the Lord, O my soul. And then more room on the back for journaling. Okay. And then this one here, I did some stitching on the side. See that right there? And then up at the top. Okay. And then let's move on. Okay. So here here's another text spot, secret text spot. And then I have like a vintage or antique book page. And then I have, let's see. Oh, I have this. This is actually, it's like vintage paper. and I printed the front and the back, and I glued it together. This is from my Cornelia's Garden collection, but it's very neutral and it goes with anything really. And so I I printed it, glued them together back to back, and then this is a great place to write. It's also great to like decorate it and tie it up with like some string or something. That would be pretty. Um, and then I have this tag and then this bit. I love this alphabet. Isn't that pretty? This is from I have a whole collection of printables with layouts. It's actually a whole collection. I think I have 3 maybe kits in the collection. The cross and resurrection of Jesus Christ. So it's got very, very beautiful old antique images from the resurrection and just a lot of really interesting images. Okay, so here I have a ruffle with heart embroidered on there. And then I have these pieces. This is from Cornelia's collection. And I love this because you can write on here. This is one of those, oh my gosh, I can't remember what it's called. And usually there's a photo in here, but I added the blank space so we can actually journal there. But you can also like glue down photos if you want, or you can collage. Okay, and then I have this first, and they tuck it here. Here, this is actually oh my gosh, I can't remember what it is, so I'm going to pull it out. Okay, so I glued the ruffle on here, and this is funny because I was just thinking of making something similar. So it's a full piece of paper. I like to do this a lot. I like to do this with the tag or with an image or with like a journaling card. So what you do is you grab your paper, a full sheet of paper, and you fold it in whichever way you want it to go, right? So I folded it in half and then in 3 so that it wraps around like your page like that. And then I decided I want some kind of printable to cover up this part so that you have a nice visual, right? But then when you open it up, you got all this space for writing, okay? And sometimes instead of like the tag, sometimes I'll glue down instead of the ruffle, I'll glue down like a tag, right? As my visual. Or I might glue down a journaling card that has like an image or something like that. Okay, so that's kind of the idea. I think this is... So it's kind of a fun little piece that opens up. And then I have my tag on this side. And then, of course, you got more room here for journaling and here. I love prayer and Bible journaling journals because it's a great way to kind of journal about your experience, your prayers, or your Bible study. Like take Bible study notes and kind of fill it up. And so I do like to add a lot of space for the writing in these type of journals. Okay, so here, this is the pocket. And I have this piece right here. And I also have this little tag with a verse. Okay, this right here is another, like a hidden spot. But I put this in here so you can see it. And then there's another tag. And so these could really be filled up with more tags and little notes. And then I have a pocket on the back. And it says, I added this encouragement. And I thought, wouldn't that be great to just have like encouraging verses in here? Or maybe grab one of these note papers and then just write what encouraged you, maybe a verse on here. This is actually a notepad. They were 2 pieces and I glued them back to back so you have writing space and so it's not white on the back. Okay, so that tucks in here. And then I have this piece, which is another journaling card that tucks in here also. And then I have these verses. So again, some encouraging Bible labels, and then a tag. So they all get tucked in here. And then on the back, I have this bird. Isn't that cute? Whenever I think of a bird, I love using birds, I should say, in my journal, because I remember the verse with the sparrow, to look at the sparrow because God takes care of them. So, or the birds of the air. So this is, oh, it's a tag. I thought I glued it down, but I didn't. And this isn't the last page. I thought it was the last page for some reason. Okay, so this is a little, it's like a little card. I love to do this also because you can decorate the cover of it. You can add your visual, which what I do is I love to add like an aesthetic photo or a cabinet card or like an art piece on the top. And I like to embellish it. I'll layer it with like lace and like bits and pieces like I did here. And I tied in some, this is like some cotton thread, I think. And it was a little bit too white. So I actually ran it through my, I used some of my ink and I just inked it up a little bit so it's not stark white. Okay, so this opens up and then you have room inside for like personal journaling or adding like a little message. And since it's closed, it always feels like a little surprise when you open it. At least that's how I feel when I journal, maybe because I forget what I write. And so when like I'll fill out my journal and then when I come back to it and I'll open it up, it's always like a little surprise what's in there. So that's always fun. And then this right here is another one of those photo. It's like the vintage photo. Oh my gosh, I forget the name. So anyways, I made it into a little pocket and I tucked this in to there. So this could be written on, like you can write prayer requests and then answered prayers and just list them. That would be a good idea. So I just have these like this and they can be, they're paper clipped on here. And then you turn the page and then I have this. This is the last page. So this right here is just, I just left it loose. I love the way it looks like that. If you wanted to, you can actually add like journaling in here if you wanted to. And then I have the verse on here. The sheep follow him for they know his voice. And isn't that cute with the sheep? They're kind of resting in a field. I love that. Okay, so here I use this image and it's just a little pocket or a little tuck spot. And I added this tag in there, right? Okay, so that's the journal. And then I wanted to show you guys, I made this too. I was just so inspired. I didn't get a chance to film it when I wanted to. And so I wanted to create one morning and I just sat down and this kind of came together. And this was inspired by Emily with Pink Paper 44. She's on my design team. She used some documents and created like a whole craft with them. And also, it's also inspired by Danielle with Evelyn and Sage. She has a video on how to, how she used some documents and she created something similar. And then I think the original, I'm trying to think, I think Heather with Ruby and Pearl received something with documents tied up like this or something similar from Angela, okay, or Angie, if you guys know her. Okay, so this right here is another one of those cards. I used a paper bag as my base, and then I also used a vintage or antique book page, but I wanted to strengthen it, so that's why I glued on the paper bag. Plus, you got room for journaling now, right? So it's almost like a little card, but then I layered a tag underneath. This is just like a printed tag and then a verse on the top. And the verse says, Jesus said to her, I am the resurrection and the life. Those who believe in me, even though they died, will live. So I love that. And then I tied some twine on there. And I just kind of tucked this right here. This can be moved anywhere, but I thought it was pretty like that. Now this, I'm going to untie it. And I have this little piece right here. It's more for decorative purposes, but it could be moved and used anywhere else. Oops, I'm off camera. Okay, so set that aside. Now this I wrap around. You guys can tie it whichever way you want, but if you want to do it the same way, all I do was, I had to remember this because I like the way it went. All I do is I twist it at the top, and then I wrap it around, and then I tie it kind of like up here, right? Into a bow. So I thought that would be pretty, but it could be done anyway. I was trying to figure out how to do this so that I like it. So it wraps around the brads, and the brads are what hold the documents together. And let's see. Okay, so this, the outer part of it, I want to show you guys, is actually cardstock. And this is shorter because it's like what holds it all together. And then I glued some, I did like some collaging with the lace and then the little burlap, the burlap ribbon. And then I added this bit right here. And then the documents are a little bit longer. And so what I did was I have one document, I have a coffee dyed paper, I have another document. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4 pages plus the cover, right? So I have 4 pages. I knew that I'd probably make it thicker because of all the layering that I did on here. So I kind of kept that in mind. So what I did was I just embellished. I used this image of the lamb. Isn't that just so sweet? And then I added the label, Lamb of God. I used a ticket. I have these in my shop, and I have different colors. And what I like to do is I print them out and cut them and have them available because they work with so many different kits. Then I have this rose here. This right here printed out a lot. It's a lot more, it's not so vibrant. It's more muted because I printed on it's like a cream paper, but it's like glittery, if that makes sense. So it's a lot more muted than my digital would be, but I think it works really well with this whole color theme. And then I added another one of those brads. I love those. Aren't they cool? And then some lace right there. Okay, and then of course the lamb is layered with some book page, and then I have this is I'm trying like cheesecloth, and it's avocado dyed. And then I have some packaging paper, which is embossed. You could barely see it at the bottom. It just has it gives it a little bit of edge right there. It kind of holds it together. This is some embossed paper. Again, this is kind of metallic. I love the idea of using like something shiny gold with the rustic look because it represents, like this represents the king and like royalty, and then this represents kind of like humbleness. So I like the mix, especially for a journal like this. Okay, so then I have this little tag. I cut off the tag because I wanted it to fit in here when you fold it, right? Because you fold it up, and this space was so small. So I cut off the top part of the tag. I don't know if I said that right. Okay, and then I use this label, and again, I glued the label down to this piece of paper so that it opens up and you can write your prayers on here, or you can just do some journaling on there, and that just tucks in there. Okay, and then next page, this could be perfect for journaling. And I did some embellishing at the bottom here. I added some fabric. I layered the fabric on there, and I added a little rusty paper safety pin. And then I added some of the embossed paper right there. And then this is my faux washi with the little lambs on there. Okay, and then here I have another document. I think this is my spring ledgers and letters that I used in this kit. And it's got like the ducks. I think it's so cute. And then the greenery. And up here, I just did a collage of this vintage image of or illustration of Jesus. And again, I added this label, the Good Shepherd, and it's got a lot of texture. I love using texture in my work. It makes, it just gives it so much, I think. Okay, and then I have another ledger right here. And then I did this, I added this label. I'm trying to see. Okay. I want to make sure that I have enough light on there and that it's in focus. Okay, so I added this vintage tool and then again some avocado dyed, oh my gosh, where are my words? Oh my gosh, I'm just going to call it fabric, but I love the texture. Cheesecloth. Avocado dyed cheesecloth. And then just a bit of like dictionary page and that. Oh, and then the back of this, I just collaged different papers on there. Okay, so that's my document. I posted photos on Instagram of this, so I'm hoping if anybody wanted to see how this looks. I think it's different when you see it open up in real life. Sometimes like you can see it better on camera, I think. So, okay, I need to wrap this up again, and this is where I tie it, right? And then I'm making a little bow. Sometimes I'll tie stuff up, and then when I open them, I forget how to open them up again. So I was like, I got to remember this one. Okay, so that's that. I'm trying to think if I missed anything. Here's the little lamb again. Isn't it just so cute? Oops. If you guys like to use Bible verses in your journals, I also have a new Bible verse or a Bible journaling kit that is an add-on for the yellow collection that I just brought to my Etsy shop. I just released that. Well, I'm filming now. I'm not sure when I posted it, but I released it last night. So it's got a bunch of different Bible verses. I'd love to hear if you guys would be interested in a craft with me video on how to make a Bible journal, like a prayer journal or Bible journal. I'm thinking of doing a tutorial or just kind of so you guys can see my process. If you guys would be interested, let me know below. I'd love to hear what you guys think. I was also going to mention that this journal here is available for sale. It's going to be coming to my Etsy shop. And if it's already sold, I will mark sold in the description box. And if there are any printables that you want that I didn't mention, I will actually link everything in the description box. But if you see something that you're not sure where it's from, let me know in the description box and I will get that link for you. Okay, thank you so much for watching and thank you so much for being here. If you guys want to keep seeing my content, please hit the like button and subscribe and hit the bell button so you don't miss my future content. I hope you guys have a wonderful day and I will see you guys next time. Bye-bye.